You're listening to Terra from the album Glow 2. And the personnel from the first record changed a little bit in the course of the following years after the release. I kind of had the concept that whenever this band was called to play live, I toyed around with different instrumentations and asked a few guys always, which was the trio of Robert Landfermann and Jonas Burgwinkel, who are present today, and also Niels Klein, who is also present today. That was kind of the core group, and whenever we were called, I assembled new groups. So this time you're listening to John Schröder on guitar, and on saxophone Christian Weidner, as well as Niels Klein on saxophone and Henning Sieverts on bass, and my trio with Robert and Jonas.
So this is from the live recording, I recall, the first track. It's not from the studio.
No.
And that's how the concert started?
I think so, yeah. Terra was always a nice way to open the concerts, I recall. I think I wrote this tune right after we finished the first record. And we got asked to play 1 or 2 gigs with the group. I remember a gig in Cologne at the WDR Jazz Fest with a slightly different instrumentation. And I think I wrote this for that concert. Very little written material. Actually just a pattern for the harmonic players, whoever chooses to play it. A couple of bass notes and a melody, 2 melodies. It's the A and B section.
Just listening to the intro we just heard, when I imagine not knowing the tune, I would think, oh, this is kind of a free thing. But listening and now knowing the piece quite well, it's only the written stuff going on. So it's
now I'm introducing the B section with a slightly different pattern.
So this was the only time John Schröder was on guitar, right?
Yes.
But was it also the only time Christian Weidner played with us on a Glow gig?
I remember this particular concert in Bonn very well because of John Schröder, because he was not playing his own acoustic guitar.
Yeah, he borrowed it.
Yeah, and I remember that some guy came and gave him the guitar. So, John, here's your guitar. And backstage he opened the case and took the guitar out and immediately started playing.
Lightspeed.
And never put the guitar down until somebody said, okay, John, now you have to go on stage.
The concert is over now.
Yeah, more like this. Yeah.
Yeah, in pieces like this, there's nothing planned. I mean, there's 2 sections that we kind of loop or morph into each other, but I always wanted all the players to choose freely whenever they feel like playing something. May
and
it be,
we did.
Yes, you did. May it be written or not written. And all the written material is like a toolbox, or that you can use and assemble it in your way. I never wrote down chord symbols or harmonies for this, only those little patterns, because I like the vagueness of it and people discovering their interpretation of it in the moment. I think now we're going to hear the melody again. I like that the melody becomes its own thing. It's more a gesture. It's not what I wrote, but kind of a variation. Or Niels, you just treated it very loosely. I like that.
Yeah, we talked a lot about this during the times you performed, that you kind of gave me this section leader role or whatever we called it. So
yeah.
You put me a little bit in charge of handling maybe what happens with the horn players, and I always thought of that while playing. It's just okay, like an orchestra. I had this semi role as an kind of an orchestrator to
yeah.
have the power to call the horns in, and so
yeah, with
these kind of gestures, which was, and that's really what I like about playing in the band always, that it's that you can orchestrate in a way. So as a horn player in a smaller setting, when you play more improvised material and not maybe tunes or something, then I particularly have always this, it's not a problem, but this, okay, when you start playing as a horn player, it's always like, okay, no, it's the horn player, the saxophone, he's going to play a solo, or he's going to play the melody, and in this larger group, it's totally easy to just play a little bit and then stop again, just as a little thing in the background. And
yeah,
that's really what I like about playing in this. I always enjoyed that very much, to be in the middle ground or in the background and then suddenly step up and do something.
I think that counts for everybody. Also, the rhythm section, especially since there are two bass players, for me, it's I really like that kind of blurriness that is created. Like that, I can decide to play with either one of them or with none of them, and all three things happen. And there's so many different flows in this band, and you can choose your own path to create another thing, or you team up with certain groups. And I always really like this. The focus was more, or is more blurry, and but there's always plenty of energy and inspiration in the room. And you could choose freely what you don't want to play. I never felt forced to do anything.
Because somebody's going to play something at some point.
Yeah.
Somehow it's John who is keeping the whole thing running the whole time. I have the feeling it's the third time he's featured in a little duo or trio setting. It's really nice. I remember him being very dominant on stage.
Yeah.
And pushing. It's a weird role for an acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Yeah, he always gives so many opportunities to go somewhere. Full of ideas. I always found it funny, Niels. Now you're introducing the C part, and because I think prior to this live recording, you did the arrangement that we did with the trio and the NDR big band, so you know the tune quite well. And you played something that is meant to be for the bass or for the second bass to play on top. And I never heard it like a melody or something like that. But you always introduced this segment. And it was really nice for me too, because I never intended it to be like that.
I played that like the top voice.
Yeah.
I think when playing this music, you have the sheet in front of you, but it's like most of the music is freely improvised, and sometimes I just look at the paper and just pick what I see and go with it. You know?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I chose this line. And I was just going to talk about that because the expectation thing, because even if it's maybe from my point of view as a composer or whatever, I think about that a lot, about the shape and of the while playing this kind of music. So I was maybe at that point I was a little impatient, you know, this.
Yeah.
Okay, now maybe it's time. If we want to keep the bow, there's the vamp still, and if you know that we should go to the vamp now, and I wanted to introduce it in a subtle way, not.
Yeah.
What I cannot play it as a bass person, you know.
I like
really,
that.
Yeah, I really like the vamp very much, and I remember arranging it for. I mean, I did the big band version, which kind of goes really big,
Yeah.
and then I adapted it later for the orchestra, I guess.
Right.
Same
yeah.
arrangement. And I always really liked that vamp, and I wrote tons of counterpoint melodies on it. So
it's in your head a little bit when you play.
Yeah, and I really connect very much, even if it's just a simple thing, but it's very ambiguous harmonically. You can really connect to it.
I think your arrangement showed me different ways to approach it harmonically. I learned a lot from your arrangement of it.
Thanks. And as you know, I'm really a big fan of slow, large builds. The people who know me know.
We know.
John is still doing it. think it's a little callback also. Maybe not intentions, but to the original piece, Glow, that one could imagine over that C part.
I definitely, when I hear this, I get the feeling, okay, this it was a live concert that was played there. And maybe you have that too sometimes. When
now I get the feeling too with
that's proof. No, that sometimes when you have live recordings on an album, which is otherwise in the studio, you have this. And I remember this feeling from playing in this band that you have this. Okay, now we're really going over the top, and that sometimes you don't want to hear on the record if it's just like you lose control a little bit too much. And
Thank you.
It's great to have that energy, but it's just this was definitely played for a big hall of people, and then you go on another energy level when you play it in this way, maybe than in the studio.
Obviously.
But I also think that it takes courage sometimes to take the extra mile, to really be honest and ask yourself, is this really everything I can give, or is there more? I think I can, thinking about myself here, my involvement in that last section, I can definitely hear one moment where I was like, I can retrace that thought a little bit, where I was thinking, this is pretty loud already, or this is pretty energetic already, but can I really dare myself to go a little bit further than that?
I thought the same thing. Like, it could have gone on for longer, actually.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I definitely remember that it's like this feeling when you try to hit like a point in your solo or in a group effort, and you are at your maximum and it still goes on.
But sometimes it feels long when you play it, and then when you listen back, it feels like now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it felt long when we played it, or this is going on for quite a while, and we're quite brave to do it or whatever. But as Robert said, we could have stayed there also. Okay, maybe take 2 next time. Pinatubo is a song that I wrote for actually a piece of art that we used for our trio record, Trio Live. And it's a painting by Emil Schumacher, an artist, painter. And we used this for the cover of the trio record, and I really wanted to write something for that painting, looking at that painting, and was inspired by it. On the technical side, I wanted to write something where there was a steady pulse and rhythmic events, harmonic events going on, but a melody that is can be played in a loose way on top of it, which in a way fits every time whenever you start playing it. That was my objective. Now there's the melody.
So very different sound now in the room. And very different personnel, right?
Yes.
Bring it, Jones.
Klaus Stötter, trumpet. Philipp Gropper, saxophone. Nils Klein, Ronny Graupe on acoustic guitar. Hubert Nuss on harmonium and celesta. And Henning Sieberts and the trio.
Yeah, that was the follow-up recording session to the first album, Glow. I think 3 years apart. Done in September of 2013.
Recorded at the Chamber Music Hall of Deutschlandfunk.
Yeah.
One big room, but great sound. remember it was quite a challenge. Everybody in one room with those very soft acoustic instruments like acoustic guitar, celeste, and harmonium, and then playing
clarinet.
Yes. Yeah, but clarinet is loud and or is more focused than a celeste.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. For the rest, normal playing, drums and two basses.
Feels like written for my fifth string. And the one of the form is the low H, low B.
B, yeah.
Now that you talked about the title and the painting, I was just wondering if you, because you never told us that kind of stuff in the studio. Is it like what your thoughts on this? Is it like on purpose, or you just want to not to have people just too concrete thing in mind when they play, or?
Yeah, I think I want to do that more. Actually, say what I'm thinking of when I write something. But I'm not sure if I didn't do it on purpose. I think leading a band like that takes a lot of, as you know, a lot of headspace, and you have to think of so many things. And sometimes in the studio, you kind of lose the, how should you say, or I maybe lost the relaxation of making everybody feel good in that way, or trying to inspire everybody. I was more focused on the music itself, I think.
No, I didn't miss it or anything.
Yeah.
I think you had a great way to lead this kind of groups, because it's you leave a lot of space for everybody, but it's clear what your intention is always clear. So it's you feel that openness, that the question marks which are in the room are intentional.
Yes.
and it's not bad question marks, it's good question marks, and that's really what I like. And
thank you. Yeah, especially this tune, I wanted to be like a question mark, actually.
I think I like it because it's so challenging for all the players to really bring themselves in. There's no way to fake through a tune or to just go on autopilot or something like that. So you always have to be very aware, and it's taking the players serious. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, but the material is still focused so much that you always have the feeling, okay, we have to play this composition now. It's not just some free blowing, you know.
Yeah, that's the challenging part. Yeah. Mm.
The inspiration for this tune came from a dream I had, where I was imagining, or whatever you call it, was dreaming of an underground cave full of glowing green crystals. And I think these high notes were something that I asked the band to do. Play as high as you can, but as soft as you can. And me and Hubert introduce these harmonies that are supposed to be the crystals a little bit. The tune consists also of 3 parts that more or less have to be played in sequence, but how long you play them and what happens during them is more or less free also.
I remember being terrified of the beginning because it's so easy to, when you try to play really high notes on the saxophone, really soft, it's always the danger of having some really nasty honk come out instead. So.
Little canon. No, but the guys are actually playing around with the melody I wrote down, which could happen over those crystal things that me and Hubert play.
I can't even tell if it's me or Henning.
I think it's
Henning.
you.
Thanks for knowing me so good, guys.
What I recall playing these tunes, I mean, there's a lot of material on the sheet, but it's still so open that these to manage your own expectations is a great topic for me. You know, it's doing what keeps a good flow and introducing something, but not doing the obvious thing. You know, keeping the balance between those things. And I was afraid of doing the obvious, but sometimes the obvious is the thing.
The right thing.
Yeah, which just the most natural thing.
And about this not knowing who you actually play with, is, it happens a lot when you play live with this band. Because I like to close my eyes while playing, and then I play with a saxophone, and I just assume it's Niels or it's Philip, but then I open my eyes and it could be the other one. Same thing with the basses, and sometimes you don't know who is doing what, where this sound is coming from, and because there's so much going on. I really like that.
This is Philip Gropper playing, by the way. Somehow with this three-part harmony thing going on the horns, I always had to think of Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers.
Yeah, totally. But it's so great. It's in there. And it's of course like shorter sextet, like Soothsayer and these kind of things.
Yeah.
Bit of footprints.
I know if I wouldn't have been involved in this recording and would hear it totally just as a pure listener, I would go crazy. If, like after 5 minutes into a piece, sometimes this arranged 3-part thing comes in.
Yeah.
It's so great. And it's all part of what can happen.
I really like those transitioning moments. Also before this groove part, after the first section, was really nice tension before the groove started. If it was me, I'm sorry, I started too early.
No, but it's always this thing. How many people are playing in this group? And it's 8 or even 10 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And some people may think, oh, there's such a great tension in the room, and some people would think, why isn't he starting already? You know, it's.
Yeah, now I'm introducing the harmony for the last part. I remember it was always a bit hard to, because the harmony is also pretty involved and sounds similar also, to get everybody on board where the one is of that form. But I think it's here. 1. Oh, when I said 1, it was actually 2.
Yeah, and I remember having a hard time too, because like the root of the last bar in the form is the same as in the first,
yes.
So you get like extra confused.
Yeah.
And I was the one who have to cue the guys in. You don't want to do it in the wrong place. But still, then it was a lesson in trust and listening for me too, because it's not like this kind of school type of vibe. Okay, now I have to give a cue. It's just like if you just listen and just do it, it will be right, come out right in the end.
Yeah.
And still, I always try to make the transition to make it washy, that it's to really grow into it, that you cannot tell when it's really written.
I remember we played this on your birthday in the Arte once, right?
Yes.
In Köln. Yeah, it was a nice gig too.
It's on YouTube, yeah. Longstreth Blues is a tune of mine that I wrote for Dave Longstreth, who's the founder of the great band Dirty Projectors, a band that I really admire, and him as a composer and band leader in particular. I think for a while I only talked about this band, and I'm pretty sure I got on everybody's nerves about this. But yeah, I channeled it in this song, which uses some of the things I think I've learned from this band. Having one melody, but divided into different melody players, so everybody plays one note.
And that was a great challenge to do that when you have the sheet here. And I remember, I think we didn't have this written out sheet. I think we just had the melody and had divided up by ourselves.
Yeah, right.
It was a great feeling, like a colleague thing, you know. You don't get to play with other tenor players in the same band, and it was such a great experience and such a friendly thing. And then to share this melody was like even that, you know. That was great. And just compositionally, it's this kind of weird delay, which you have this overlapping notes and stuff. It's a great effect. It's almost sounds like if it's like post-production kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's a great sound with the harmonium, Hubert. Sounds like an orchestra.
Yeah, I always have to think of with this song. I have to with him comping with like that behind me. I have to think of Bird with strings somehow. Mm-hmm. Or I still remember thinking it in that moment. I was thinking of that.
And you need an oboe for that.
It's true.
What is it you would say is like the Dirty Projector stuff? Because you just said you channeled it into.
That's the melody thing is one thing, but certainly a couple of those voicings I got from that band. And also I was just thinking when I wrote it, I was thinking of Dave Longstreth singing this melody, how he would sing it, and that made me change certain notes in the melody because my instinct went in a different way, and I think I learned something about melody from him. But sometimes it's also hard to put into words what you actually learn from something. It's so internal and it's hard to put your finger on it. Or sometimes I'd rather not say it because then it loses its mystique for me also. But definitely the voicings and the melody thing. But I would really like to hear him sing sing this song.
Yeah. He sings quite high most of the time.
Yeah.
Now I think of it, having those two saxophones, it's like you would double a vocal in a pop production.
Right.
Remember how we needed a couple of attempts to get this feel. We're trying different things and
I thought about that too. Yeah,
because it wasn't that easy. Because you could have played it very straight ahead and it would have worked greatly, but it had to be something in between this free-flowing thing, but still maintaining the time.
Not playing it too slow.
Right.
It was a mistake we often made when we played it, I think.
Yeah.
Very it has some unusual feels to it. Took us some time to get used to it.
And nice arrangement with the guitar intro too.
Yeah.
Works really well.
Was it kind of a singer-songwriter reference too, with the guitar intro?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, and also I just love I love listening to Ronny Graupe play intros, or him playing solo guitar. So I wanted to have that color, and I think I love his intro. I think he's mainly running the harmonies of the song, but it sounds like he's discovering them in the moment, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and this rough, edgy style of playing of his is really a nice contrast to the smooth feeling later.
In 2013, my grandmother passed away, and so we got a couple of things from her house, and one of them was a box full of cassettes that we listened to as kids. One of them had a pretty scary and very, very scary and weird airplay of The Beauty and the Beast, a German-produced thing from it. And it had some little cue music in between. And I remember being so scared as a kid. So I listened again to it and couldn't find the composer, so I don't know who wrote it. But I transcribed it and thought it would be a great vehicle for the band to play. So we have just played the melody, and now we're off for something different.
I remember that you told us that during the recording. You told the story.
Yeah.
And I remember that it changed my way of going at the piece. And it took some, in a good way again, it took some of the seriousness out of it, so that it's this child's ear play melody. So let's just play it as that, and not as this modern, contemporary, whatever jazz composition, It's more like a playful thing. That's how I approached it when we played it. It gave me more freedom in a way.
I think we worked quite a bit on the instrumentation, who plays what and who's doubling which voice, and also I like here again the breathing way of how Jonas Jue approached the time, which is not metronomic per se, but it breathes. It really breathes.
The harmonium is it's really odd in there. So sometimes these really clear tones can sound like electronic stuff,
If you double them with another instrument. The record closes with another live performance of a song that I think, I talked about Terra before, being a song that I wrote right after the first recording session for Glow 1. And Chiffre is from the same era, so written sometime in 2011. We have played this quite often with different guests and different configurations of Glow and other bands as well. pretty straightforward lead sheet type of song with 2 sections, free blowing section. And this is from a live recording in Esslingen from 2015 with actually the same instrumentation and same personnel like on the studio sessions. I remember we had the studio sessions in the vault for a long time because there was other stuff that had to be put out before. And also I felt like for certain pieces like Terra and Chiffre, we didn't get the right vibe for it in the studio. So I was actively making sure that we recorded each time we played, which was not often. So it took a while for those versions to emerge, and I'm really, really happy we were able to put Terra and Chiffre on the record. So this is Chiffre.
I remember that it was one of those moments where I just... Okay, I'm gonna start this. Sometimes when you're in between the songs, you try to take everybody off notice, off guard by just starting way too early. Then, and that's what I did, I think, in this.
Yeah.
I was happy that Philip joined me after some seconds.
I remember when we first soundchecked that I thought, okay, the fast tunes, they're never gonna work because it was in a church and it was there was lots of reverb, and but it turned out when there were people inside, and I especially remember this tune. I still really remember how I felt playing it. That it just started and we there was no hesitation in that version, and I wasn't worried about time or anything, although the sound was quite reverberant. Normally you would think you need a tight acoustic for this kind of fast melody things.
So that's not Robert.
This is Henning.
This is Henning, Jonas and me, and Ronny. A lot of guitar piano moments on this record.
Was always building up to Ascent.
Right. Now it all makes sense.
But I also remember you encouraged the guitar players to play with you.
Yeah, it's true.
And especially Ronnie, I think we was kind of hesitant about it. But then you got more and more into it, and you, it was a sound you were searching for at that time.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really like this collective thing where it could be comping, but it could also be soloing. Now Hubert is joining. And this time it wasn't a harmonium and also no celesta. I think it was a little, you call it pocket organ. I like what Henning is doing. Really goes against what you would normally play there. Thanks, Robert.
Is it me?
Yeah, now you're joining in. It's two basses now.
Double bass.
Doing what the bass is supposed to do in this situation.
Yes, play the quarter notes, man. Come on. You know, with Henning and me, it was always really nice to play with him because he's so flexible and open and really good listener. I've had so many opportunities to play with other bass players in a tight little acoustic formation with 2 bass players, with 3 bass players, and of course besides bands with a lot of other bass players. I love to meet with colleagues and hang and play, and somehow we felt with Henning it felt really good, so we kept inviting him, and as you can hear, both of us, we have really much fun to play and to exchange and to swap roles, like kind of like the Joker role or like the bass role, like making clear what's underneath it all, or playing really different stuff on top. Always really felt great with Henning.
Yeah, Hubert is introducing the high notes again.
Mm-hmm.
The organ.
Right now I'm in the same situation listening as when I was playing. Okay, it's like, are we gonna end this? Is it going on? What's happening here?
I think we're going for an hour ahead. Yeah, that's the natural thing happening after such a big build-up and energetic explosion. It has to fall apart. And we naturally come to this point where things are getting put together again.
It is nice to listen now. It's built again with cinematic material. Everybody's playing with the song. Check out Hubert's repetitions. I think this was definitely the last piece.
Yes.
For the record and for the live, for the concert.
Always fun to play.
Thanks for being part of it, guys.